So, I went to see the Demon Slayer Infinity Castle movie opening night because I'm a good weeb. And I will straight up say IGN is wrong, but not completely. The major complaint from IGN is that the pacing is horrible. If you didn't see it, IGN review bombed the movie saying that it was atrocious with an unbearable pacing. Okay, while I understand what they're trying to say, by no means the pace was slow. Being that the main point of their complaint is the pacing, I agree. It could have been more cinematic and not episodic, which is what these movies are and should have always been, a full 20-something episode season. But I do want to give Ufotable the benefit of the doubt that this was the best way to adapt the last chapters. Now, if they had only split the 3 fights so they reached their conclusion at the same time, or even just the Casa Tanjiro and Doma ones, wrapping up the Zenitsu one right before the third act started, the aggregate between the complete loss of one Hashira versus the, if you can call that a win, of Tanjiro and Giyu, gives Empire Strikes Back levels of despair that do feel like they're wrapping up of a story. But at the end, it's just nitpicking rather than a deal breaker. Because basically what IGN was saying is that their Pew Pew boners got interrupted by the Sob-Sobs. Funny enough, it feels like the same complaint that some people have that only watch the anime had about the Kuma flashback that interrupted the fight between Luffy and Saint J. Garcia Saturn. But come on! Kuma's punch had such a bigger impact, pun intended, because we knew what it represented. But what? Excuse me? Going back to Demon Slayer, as soon as we got to the Casa fight, which is what the movie title says is the meat to these deliciously seasoned potatoes in the magnificent stew that this movie is, sorry chat, I'm writing this on an empty stomach, the action just kept coming. When did show don't tell stop being a better way to tell stories? Because stopping the fight and going into a beautiful flashback is boring these days apparently. I mean, why do that when you can have the main character just monologue the backstory while having a pointless flashy fight? And that is why freaking Solo Leveling won Anime of the Year. Yeah, I'm still salty about that. Don't believe me? Surprise, surprise! This is what IGN thinks about Solo Leveling. Overall, yes, there is a lot of flashbacks, but by no means there is too many. Again, maybe a more dynamic back and forth between fights may have made the movie less obvious to the many flashbacks, but who knows at this point. However, I will not deny that the movie does have a lot of questionable things. Doma being one of them, but that is just Doma. The Casa self-reflections did drag a little bit, and the wife and master were definitely just plot devices. And well, yeah, that is how it was faced in the manga. An animated frame can lead to more than just mere seconds. The director should have realized that this is something that needed trimming. Because we didn't need Tanjiro mansplaining every single thing that Akasa was doing, or have a frame of Shinobu's sister smiling every time she was mentioned, which by the way, is not a flashback, it's just fluff. But the bigger sinner here, to me, is what people got distracted from because the foreground looked so good. The castle itself, it looked like really bad CGI. At some points, it felt like a video game adaptation that tries to do a full motion video, but it still feels like a video game. I mean, look at the demons running towards Mitsuri, they look bad. Or Giyu here, something in my mind screams PS5. But it becomes more obvious when you compare the castle in the first trailer versus the last, and the movie itself. And no, I have no problem with CGI, so long it is embraced as a feature, such as the case of Lawn of the Lustros, and not a fast way to replace properly drawn frames. And I get it, the dynamic camera shots would have made it impossible to animate and still make the deadline, but still, bad CGI is bad CGI. That aside, the movie was extremely enjoyable, and I definitely could have done with 15 minutes less, and my special cup that were sold out days before the movie was released. Thank you AMC for dropping the ball here. Had I had these two things, I would have walked out of the theater completely satisfied for what it was, an anime movie. But what do you think? Do you have a problem with the pacing? Was there something that you really hated that nobody's talking about? Leave comments down below and don't forget to follow me for more anime and sometimes video game news.